Hello and welcome to remote training on the personnel change form for managers. The personnel change form is a form that's used by finance and HR to make changes to an employee's status within the agency. There are a lot of different options. There are a lot of different uses for the form, and we'll sort of address those as we go through. The first part of the form is just some basic information about the employee, their name, the program that they're assigned to. If you're using a PDF version, this is a drop-down menu. If you're using a paper version, you can just write in the program that they're assigned to. The address information is extremely important if the contact information for the employee has changed. This is a great time as you're putting in a personnel change form for a member of your staff to ask them, has there been any changes in their address, phone, or email, so that we make sure that we have the most up-to-date contact information in our system. If there are changes, then you can write in the new address, the new phone number, the new email, and just make a notation that this is changed. If there are no changes, then you can leave that section blank. Effective date, this is the date that whatever change you talk about in the form will become effective. A lot of effective dates are the beginning of a pay period. So they are a Sunday of the beginning of a pay period. Things like cost of living adjustments, raises, those sorts of things often are going to be effective on the beginning of a pay period. Things like promotions, adding second positions, terminations, resignations, things like that are going to have a more specific effective date. The primary supervisor for the employee goes here, and then the date of hire for the employee goes here. You can find the date of hire in ADP on that person's profile page on ADP. This box is the reason for the change. Some employees have multiple positions with the agency or multiple rates, so you can add additional positions. There could be a change in hour, just a change in primary position. New hire will be handled by human resources, so that you do not need to worry about that one. A promotion, rate change, a rehire, a termination, or a transfer. If you notice resignation is not on here, that is considered a termination. It's a type of termination. A resignation is a type of termination. So again, you can choose from the drop-down menu, or you can just write in if you're using the paper form. If the person is going on a leave of absence, then you would complete these three boxes. The type of leave of absence, whether it's an administrative leave, family medical leave, military leave, Massachusetts medical leave, personal leave of absence, or workers' comp, different types of leaves of absence. If you have questions related to which ones might apply, please have a conversation directly with HR. Typically, the leave start date will be the same as the effective date, because the date that they are going on leave will also be the date that this becomes effective. Sometimes employees will go on leave and we will know the end date. Perhaps they're taking a personal leave of absence that was approved for 2 weeks, or perhaps they're taking a military leave for 2 weeks or a set period of time. Sometimes this will be left blank because there will be an unknown date to which the leave will end. When the leave ends, another PCF needs to be filled out returning the person from their leave. So that's when you would put the end date in if you do not already know that. Position. The form gives the opportunity to edit or add 2 positions. We can obviously add more than that, but the form is only built for 2. So from means what is the position they currently have, and 2 is what is the position that they are going 2. So let's say they are currently a teacher, and perhaps they are being promoted to an adjustment counselor. That's how you could handle a promotion or a position change. Let's say that they are a teacher and they are staying a teacher, but what is changing is their rate of pay. So there is no 2 because their position is staying teacher, but their wage is what is changing. So you would put their new wage in this box and then check whether either you're writing it as an hourly wage or as an annual wage. Let's say that it's not their wage that's changing, it's the number of hours that they work in a biweekly period. You would put that here. Remember, these hours are based on a 2-week period. It's a payroll period. So if you're a full-time 40-hour-a-week employee, then this is 80 hours biweekly. If their position changes, full-time, part-time, relief, temp, or seasonal, you would want to pick that. If they're exempt or non-exempt status. And then again, the program for this particular position. So you have options depending on which piece is it that's changing. The same is true with position 2. If you are adding a brand new position 2, then obviously there is no from. You would just start with 2. So perhaps this is a residential counselor who is staying the same, but they are adding an instructional aid position. So we're keeping their position 1 the same. There's no changes in their hours, their wage, their status, none of that. But we are adding an instructional aid position. Let's say that that's going to be 6 hours a week, so 12 biweekly hours. It's a part-time position. It is not exempt, and maybe they're going to get paid whatever the hourly rate is for that position in one of the schools. So that's how we would add a second position. Let's say okay. Once you've made your changes, you put in your information, you can just put in a brief comment. So the scenario that we had just written, what we were doing was adding a second position as an instructional aid. The narrative just helps for the folks who are processing the form. It helps for the folks in the future to kind of understand what the form is being filed for. And then the last section is separation information. So if this is a termination, if this is a resignation, one of the big questions is, are they eligible for rehire? If you're unsure about that, please check in with HR. If you are putting no for rehire, then you need to give a reason why they are ineligible for rehire. What was their last day worked? So this is the last day physically in their program working. And then termination date will most likely be the same date as effective date. Signatures, there is a signature box for the employee, there's a signature box for their supervisor, and then there's a signature box for the administrator of the program. Human Resources will sign it once they process the form. Anytime you're changing someone's hours, changing their rate of pay, changing their position status, it is very important that we get the employee's signature. For things like resignations, terminations, other types of action, the employee signature is not always required. And then the supervisor or the manager signature. Once the form has been filled out, it will be scanned and emailed to pcf@studyhome.org, where it can be processed by both HR and finance. And that is the end of our training on the personnel change form. Thank you.